what just happened in Gaza and Israel is beyond what anybody thinks. It's not just another skirmish or war or anything of that nature. Israel is planning on something that's probably beyond what we can think about. They're probably planning on some of the most horrific actions that have taken place in human history. For a reason, I'm saying this. Israel took a number of hours for it to react to anything. It seems that they allowed things, as many of the Israeli witnesses that are experts would say, that no matter how little, even if a cockroach or a pigeon or a bird came close to the wall, they would know about this. So even assuming that the Hamas people bombed the cameras or did whatever the hell they did, but then at the same time, they physically started to appear. All of these soldiers that have gotten killed in the meantime, because they are supposedly there to defend those settlements, so they eventually got killed. But prior to getting killed, they obviously notified their counterparts for needing backup and support. Those areas in Palestine, occupied Palestine, and the settlements and Israel, they're so small. The areas are like a few miles apart from each other. They're as small as US cities. So getting backup should only require a few minutes, literally 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It shouldn't require hours. Allowing those numbers of hours to go by must have been done intentionally. We're not stupid. To allow something to happen and go on for hours and hours and hours, and then to say we are at war and we're gonna level Gaza, we're gonna desecrate the entire thing, we're gonna make it into a football field. Their absolute intention is to either kill everyone in Gaza or force everyone out, just like they did in the Nakba in 1948, 1967. And they're doing it in a pre-planned way. This is what they've always done. This is what they've done in 9/11, and this is what they're doing now. We will probably witness a war now that is unlike any of the 10 plus wars that have happened over the past 10, 15 years. And mark my words, this is not the normal thing. This is not the usual war that would go on for a number of days and have, civilian casualties in the few thousands, 5,000 or 10,000. Of course, keep in mind that the West doesn't give a shit when 5,000 or 10,000 civilians, mostly children, always half of the people that are lost in the Israeli attacks on Gaza are always children. 30% are generally around like 7 years old or younger, because those are normally sitting at home, and Israel does nothing but attack people's homes. That's what they are brave at. They haven't been daring to fight the actual militants or their counterparts. If the IDF wants to fight and they want to take out the terrorist attacks and the terrorists, go in there and fight the freaking terrorists. Don't kill the children. We are always against killing of children. We don't want Israeli children to die. We don't want Palestinian children to die. We don't want women from Israel to be attacked. We don't want women from Palestine to be attacked. If soldiers want to fight, if armies want to fight, of course there is no army in reality on the Palestinian side because there is no state. But at least if there's defenders that claim that they are defending, and then there's Israelis that claim that they're called the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, they're the attack force in reality. But if they're claiming that they're defenders of their own beliefs and their own countries and their own lands and what have you, then let the defenders fight the defenders. Don't get the freaking children involved. Because the more children you get involved in this, the worse you look. Everybody that attacks civilians looks bad. And Israel has been looking horrible. I have never seen one person that has opened up their eyes and looked at history and looked at current situations, visiting or not visiting, as long as they're educated about what's going on there, as long as they know they're not just being indoctrinated by what the Israeli propaganda is feeding them, as long as they look at both sides, they'll always open up their eyes and they'll know the righteousness or the rightfulness of the Palestinian cause. They'll know that they're the indigenous people Their lands have been confiscated. Their people have been killed for decades, for 75 years long. This is the longest current occupation of our current times. This is against international laws. Israel has been banned from continuing their settlements, and yet at the same time they keep on doing it. They're violating every UN resolution that has ever existed by the support of the US government, because the Israeli lobby is so powerful in here. The American people are good people. The American people that open up their eyes, they always see the truth. I've never seen somebody who has seen the truth who then turned back and said, oh no, I was wrong about this. The only people that support Israel are people that are blindsided or that are Zionist by nature. If they have opened up their eyes, I've never seen somebody take a look and say, oh, the Palestinians are right. And then they go back sometime later and say, oh no, the Palestinians are wrong. Everybody that starts to see the light, they'll even be attacked by the Zionist propaganda advocates. And they stand stronger in the face of tyranny. That shows you that this is the truth. Open up your eyes. Look things up. Look at the real conflict. Look at how the Israelis treat everybody, Palestinian, Christians, and Muslims, for the past 75 years. Look at what's been happening. If you don't stand on the right side of life, we all eventually die. Even if we live to be 100 years old, we're all going to die at some point. And when we die, we're going to be faced with the judgment of God. We all believe in God, one way or another. And when we face God, we're going to have to say, I stood on the right side of history, or I stood on the wrong side of history. And I personally, and I don't think any of you, want to stand before God and say that I stood with the oppressor against the oppressed. I stood with the state of Israel that terrorized children and women and have taken the rights of everybody for 75 years. And I didn't stand on the right side of history simply because I kept my eyes closed. Muslims, Christians, and Jews have been living together for more than 1,000 years in harmony. The only time, and again, look this up, the only time when this state terror started to happen is when the state of Israel was established in 1948.